Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome once again to Kardec Radio, where we are 24/7, always nourishing our souls. And at p.m., Kardec Radio devotes half an hour to the study of the divine laws. If we are wondering, why study the divine laws? Because the divine laws are as a constitution of our soul. They function as a constitution for our soul. So as we study the laws, we empower ourselves to make wiser choices, and we are then dropped co-create with the blessings of God a beautiful present and a blessed future that is profitable spiritually, not only for ourselves, but for everyone that we may come into contact with. Studying the divine laws is one of the best opportunities God has granted us in order for us to reach the spiritual milestones that we have, not only on our behalf, but on the behalf of the collective, because God, being all merciful, all just, and all loving, does not plan a reincarnatory plan thinking solely of one spirit alone. The plan then divinely involves reaching out to others as a way to improve. This is why in Spiritism we learn together that without charity there is no salvation. And the concept of charity, of service, of thinking of the good and cultivating the good is permeated all throughout the divine laws. Tonight, we are going to continue studying the divine laws, which can be found in the third part of the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec. The study tonight is on knowledge of the future. Particularly, we will be referring to questions 868 and 869. Should you have the book and want to follow along, now you have the reference with you. So, beloved friends, feel welcomed and embraced by the Spirit mentors. Garden this moment specially for us. And as we connect with you on high, let us prepare to receive the vitamins for the soul that have been planned out for us, for our loved ones, and for everyone in our network. Let us rest assured that this is a moment of inner renewal for each and every one of us, loving angels of God who love us tirelessly and anonymously. What a blessing! So welcome, dear friends. Should you have any comments or questions, please feel free to type in on the chat so that we can interact. Let us then begin our study of tonight. In question 868, can the future be revealed to humankind? Beautiful question. Kardec, as a wise, brilliant educator, asks the very questions that at some point we may have had in mind. So whenever we experience doubt and uncertainty. Let us harvest the habit of opening up the Spirit's book, because there we are very likely going to find the variance. If we ever wonder, why is it that God does not reveal the future to us? Now we shall have the answer. The Spirit mentors from on high explain, in general, the future is hidden from humankind, and only in rare and exceptional cases does God allow it to be reviewed. Excellent. So now we know we can reason. Most of us do not have access to knowledge of our future, and the future of others is out of mercy and wisdom of God. Because if we were reviewed the future, perhaps we would not be able to focus on the present moment. Perhaps we would be too distracted by expectations and would not then carry the needed steps to achieve the goals that were set for us. So God is so perfect in the way God plans how we operate, helping us, millennial, immortal spirits that have lived many lives, to begin anew in every reincarnation, giving us a clean us to be placed in the best environments possible for our spiritual progress, and allowing us to rebuild relationships that we have had in the past and that may need to be healed. How do we promote this type of healing? Through the will of God, both forgetfulness of the past and forgetfulness and inability to know the future, because by knowing the future we are able to be fully present in the present. And the present is not called present by chance. It is a gift, the gift of today. Today, 24 hours, is the talisman, as Master Jesus tells us in the book Jesus in the Home, whereby we can utilize all that we know and all the resources that we have at hand to spread the good. And one certainty we may carry in our hearts. We know for a fact that if we focus every day on spreading the good, we can already be certain that our future will be better than today. Because it is truly by spreading the good that we improve ourselves, spiritually speaking. It is not by chance that St. Francis of Assisi has told us in his beautiful prayer, it is in giving that we receive. It is understood. It is in loving that we are loved. It is in forgiving that we are forgiven. So we can rest assured that every seed we plant in the present will return to us in the future. Let us now illustrate what we mean by recounting a true case that occurred with Chico Xavier. Xavier spent time with his brothers and, of course, his sisters-in-law. And there was a particular sister-in-law of Chico Xavier's that did not believe in the power of doing the good. She did not believe that she would in the future receive the result of her actions. She didn't see the point of devoting herself to others. She didn't believe that she would reap what she had sown. So Chico told her, why not do an experiment? Give away something of what you have and wait to see in the near future what you may receive in return. And Chico Xavier's sister-in-law then gave away some coyotes, some vegetables to a neighbor, 2 pieces of coyote vegetable to a neighbor. Later on, she received 4 pieces of the neighbor of the other side, from the other side of the street. But then someone else knocked on her door and asked for help with food, so she gave it all away. And then she said, Chico, see, there is no point in doing the good. We are not going to reap anything in the future. But then later on, someone else knocked on her door, a farmer that she used to assist every time he came to the city. And the farmer, out of gratitude, brought to her sister-in-law a basket filled with coyote vegetables from his very farm. She received about 64 different vegetables in that basket. So she started off by giving 2 vegetables away, and in the end, she received 64 in return. So this is a beautiful lesson about the future. What certainty within us? We have the certainty that the best way to invest in our future is to do the good now, to think the good, to multiply the good, to feel the good, and to believe in the good. We were placed in the exact family circle where God is counting on us to say a word of optimism, to give an extra smile, to send a thought of encouragement, to be the shoulder on which someone may find consolation, to be able to offer someone in our very homes a warm embrace when they, if we are able to spread little seeds of the good in our very family circle, our best school, a little bit every day, then we can rest assured that there will be a multiplication of those good seeds by God, and we will for certain be impacted by God's beautiful multiplication of the good. This is the very principle that allowed Master Jesus to perform he did, the multiplication of the bread and of the fish. He believed in the good, and he's so aligned with God that he was able to literally multiply the good. One day we shall get there. So let us not so much focus on the future, on tomorrow. Let us focus on today. Every year we have 365 beautiful new. Of course, we may dream of grandiose ideas sometimes, or we may set a deadline for doing the good after we retire, or when we win the lottery, or when our lives are more stable. But this is not what God has designed for us. God believes in us, in our abilities as divine children of His, so much into mutuous challenging circumstances in order for us to be the light holders, the light spreaders, the light givers in the present. The more we hold the light, rather than hiding it under the bushel, the more we have the courage to be a sparkle of light in the lives of those who are closest to us, sometimes to someone who needs support, sometimes just by holding a dear one's hand, sometimes just by texting and saying that we care. If we are able to spread the seeds of hope, holding the light that God has granted all of us up high for everyone around us to be benefited, we know that God will be holding a light for us as well. Our time, our bodies are God's concessions. All of our abilities are God's concessions. This reincarnation is God's concession as well. So let us focus on holding the light of God, not only for ourselves, but thinking of others. And in that way, we will be so focused on doing the good in the present that we will no longer need to be concerned about the future, because the present already will be of God's love for us, and we shall then find God's presence in every moment of the present. In that way, we don't need to worry about the future, because we know that God shall provide. When, however, is it allowed for us to know specific information about the future, as the spirit mentors have answered to Kardec here in the question we read? When shall we have this permission? For instance, when Chico Xavier recorded the first time that he went on national television after more than half a century of practicing mediumship and doing charity in the name of the Christ. He went on television and he revealed to all of us about the need for us to not engage in a worldwide conflict so that we could move forward within the pathway of regeneration. And he even gave us a deadline, which was July 19th. And the reason why the spirit of Emmanuel was allowed to make this revelation for through Chico Xavier was not because he was thinking about satiating people's curiosity, but it was actually because the spirits from on high, in the name of the Christ, hoped that this piece of information for us to work towards that goal. So Chico Xavier made this revelation on national television in Brazil out of mercy and out of a concession of God, thinking of the general good. So the few circumstances when we are allowed to foresee the future is not to satisfy our own curiosity, but rather it is because that piece of information will likely have a very the general good. God thinks of the collective because God is just with the entire universe. So because God is the ultimate multiplier, God tends to think of one particular way or ways to multiply the good in many directions. These are the circumstances in which God allows information come to us here. So now, dear friends, let us read our last question of tonight, which is question 869. Kardec asks, for what purpose is the future hidden from humankind? If humankind knew the future, they would neglect the present, and they would not act with the same freedom because they would be swayed by the thought that if a certain thing must happen, there is no need for them to busy themselves with it, or else they would seek to prevent it. God has willed that it should not be thus, so that each may contribute to the accomplishment of things, even those that would like way you yourself, habitually and unknowingly, prepare the events that will come about over the course of your life. What an empowering answer! Once again, we are shown God's wisdom. Why is it then that we don't have access to future plans or past events from previous incarnations so that we are not distracted from the black? How wise is God? We know in the book The Messengers, there is a case. The book The Messenger was written by the spirit of André Luiz through the mediumship of Chico Xavier. And in that book, The Messengers, André Luiz describes many case studies of failed spiritists who reincarnated when they got derailed or distracted or misfocused and missed their reincarnatory opportunity to fulfill the tasks that God had granted them. And in one of these case studies describes a particular spirit who, while incarnated, could go back through his mediumship and foresee, or rather not, past lives from many individuals, not just of his own archive. And what happened to the spirit? He missed the opportunities to evolve in that particular incarnation because he got so distracted by knowing facts from the past that he spent most of his life doing past life, and he neglected, therefore, the tasks that were given to him. The same could happen if we had access to the future. If things did not occur as planned because of our free will and the free will of others, we may try, hypothetically, to interfere with our lives and the lives of others. And God does not wish for anyone to interfere on each other's free will because God controls our free will. So God does not grant us access to anything but the present because of the possibility that it would either, this knowledge would either interfere with our progress or interfere with the progress of others. So if inside of ourselves we often wonder, oh, we wish we knew when the pandemic or over, this new job position will work the way we expect. We wish we knew if this promotion would come to fruition. We wish we knew if we could buy our own homes. If we are often tormented by these very questions, dear friends, we may likely be missing out in the gift of the present. Every day, God places us in situations that are optimal for us to learn how to be charitable, how to be more loving, how to be more indulgent, how to be of service to often lament or complain about the present and escape in our minds to an ideal future, then we may boost uncertainty rather than certainty within ourselves, and we may lose precious opportunities that are subtle but that are so important, which God has placed in our lives. We would like to share an example. Recently, a friend shared a video of a young woman, 12 years old, in the northeastern part of Brazil that had absolutely no resources. And yet, she decided to open up a school there because she was tired of seeing others suffer with lack of education. So her mother and aunt and family members literally went through the trash to find a little table for her, to find paper for her students to write on. And that young woman is so devoted to this cause that she decided to call the tiny room School of Hope. And when she was asked if she was happy, yes. And when I feel sad, I tend to very quickly shift my thinking. So we see that someone who is able, like this young lady, to find the blessings in the present by not worrying about herself, but rather by serving others, transforms not only her lives, but her life. And it is in transforming the lives of many through service that we shall find joy of living. Once we find this joy of living, dear friends, then we shall no longer wish to escape emotionally or mentally either to the past or to the future, because we shall find God in the very moment. So, therapeutic exercise for us. Within the next 24 hours, dear friends, let us find one person for us to offer in our home that is in need of a smile. It could be writing a note saying I love you to someone, to one of our family members. It could be making a phone call just to tell someone that we care. It could be to buy flowers for a friend and ask for the flowers to be delivered. It could be to buy groceries. It could be to write an email just to say, to wish someone a beautiful day. It could be to wish a good morning to a coworker with all the love in our hearts. It could also be to pray for those who are suffering so much more than we are. So let us, dear friends, focus on the good that the present offers us. Let us unwrap the gift of the then be light holders and believe in the good as well as spread the good. So many blessings to all of you, dear friends. Thank you, Kardec Radio team. It's wonderful to be united for the same purpose, spreading the good, feeling the good, visualizing the good, and molding the good with all the resources that we have at hands. Say blessings to each and every one, whether you are watching this now or on demand. Receive our warm embrace and stay tuned right here on Kardec Radio, because here we are absolutely always nourishing our souls. Bye for now, dear friends.